With the 2023-24 ACHA seasons underway, it's time for Season 2 of Inside Chippewa Hockey. We're so glad to take you along with us this season as we bring you all things CMU club hockey. We will be coming to your screen on YouTube once every month, so make sure to tune in. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show because Episode 1 starts right now. Live inside the Moore Hall Television Studios on the campus of Central Michigan University, we welcome you to this month's episode of Inside Chippewa Hockey. My name is Regan Cleves, and I'm going to take you on a deep dive this week through each of the three teams here at CMU, the Men's Division II, the Men's Division III, and the Women's Division II. We're going to start with the Men's Division III team as we welcome on CCHN commentator Devin Serra, along with alternate captain Nathan Bottles. Gentlemen, it's good to have you on.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's always nice to get in and talk to you guys. Love doing it. So
yeah, first time talking to this guy since the podcast episode, so I'm excited.
Yeah, well, Central Michigan is 6 games into their season. They started with a sweep of Ferris State, the first time since 2017-2018 that they ended up with a season sweep of the Bulldogs. Tell me a little bit more about that series and how your team got off on that right foot, Nathan.
yeah, so I mean, it's always good to go and play in Ferris State, and then getting 2 wins out of it is a big deal. Last year, I think we played them our first game of the season, got a win. It started out nice, and then played them later on in the season. And then not being able to get that series sweep was kind of, not great, obviously. And now that we're able to start 2 games right away, a home and home with them, and take both of them, is really big just for our team. And it was good for the confidence right off the start, especially going into a Notre Dame weekend.
Yeah, and you guys had a 5-2 win and a 3-2 win in that series. That 5-2 win came on the road at Ava Glavin Ice Arena. You guys had a really good special teams weekend. You guys got a couple of goals on the power play, and you went perfect 11 for 11 on the penalty kill. How did you guys take that result from that opening weekend and move forward on the special teams?
Yeah, so it's always good when you can get the penalty kill and power play going. I think, Coach Marty, he set the things up, obviously, for us to have a power play set and system with certain specific guys, and then also have guys on the PK. We do have a pretty deep roster this year, so it's super helpful to have that. And getting everybody rolling, the power play doing well, scoring goals, going right up until the PK, killing off pretty much every penalty that we had that weekend. It's really good, and then it also just kind of, again, builds that confidence going into that Notre Dame weekend for both of those units.
And not to mention, that first power play goal of the year came in the first couple of minutes of the game. Remember, it was just their second shift out there on the ice all season, and they were to back one in the net. So it was a good confidence builder.
Moving on to the Notre Dame series, coming off of that weekend sweep against Ferris State, that 6-3 loss on Friday kind of put a damper on things, but they turned around and won 2-1. Devin, how do you think Central Michigan managed to turn things around so quickly?
Well, that first night, there was a lot of special teams mishaps. 4 power play goals allowed in that game, 3 in the second. And so for them, it was kind of a shock just to play again a number 2 team from last year that had their wits about them. And yeah, a team that was still, you can attest to this, getting the chemistry right with the new guys coming in the offseason, total 17 new players, right? So just those growing pains. But the second night, you could tell that the penalty kill locked down. 34 minutes of power play time allowed, but they were perfect throughout the game. Only 1 goal allowed on the Notre Dame side. That came in the second period. And so just things were reversal. And then you had a first-time goaltender in Caleb Woolery who stood on his head, especially in the first period, and really set the tone. I think you can say, right, this team had confidence because you knew Woolery was in there playing super well.
Yeah, definitely. It's always good when you have a freshman come in and they start playing really well. And then, to get his first win as well, I mean, it's huge. He's always been good in practice, always a goalie that you love going against just because he's going to challenge you to, always take your best shot every time. And he did really well, got his first win. He deserved every minute of that and every save. First start as well.
38, that's incredible stuff, Regan.
Yeah, and that's why Woolery got the start coming into the Michigan State series. CMU came into that series with a 3-1 record, and they come out of it even at 500. Nathan, what was the mentality going into that Michigan State series?
So obviously getting that big win against Notre Dame helped us out a ton. We had some bad blood with them last year, just given that they beat us really bad at their place. So it was really nice to get one back. Especially it was a different team. You could feel it from last year. Just the guys they had, it felt like a different Notre Dame team, and it felt like 2 games that we should have won. Obviously losing the first one hurt a little bit, but getting that second one back and staying above 500 and also in the win column, beating Notre Dame, getting one back. super helpful. And then going into the MSU series, obviously, you wanted to carry that on. We haven't played MSU, or at least I haven't, in quite a while now, so you wanted to go out there and try to do your best, especially with the special teams kind of turning around a little bit from the Ferris State weekend.
Yeah, you guys hadn't played Michigan State in 2 seasons, and you guys kind of got off to a bad foot. The first time you allowed the first goal of a game in both of those games. You allowed the first goal, including the only goal in that second game. The lack of scoring, especially in that series against Michigan State, really hurt Central Michigan.
Yeah, and to add to your point, I think there was a little bit of a clear sense that Michigan State had a lot of oomph to start that game, a lot more than we probably expected. You know, Michigan State is one of those programs that was trying to revamp themselves after COVID. We saw after that 2020 season some programs be able to come out of it well, Saginaw Valley, Central Michigan, Grand Valley. But you could tell Michigan State kind of dropped in that. But this year they had a lot of new recruitment, a lot of more physical guys. And from the jump, I mean, they were winning one-on-one battles. They were taking pucks away in the front of the net, and they were putting it home. And that's really what I felt the key was behind that. What did you see in that Michigan State team?
Yeah, they definitely they just wanted it more than us, and it sucks to say that. And I think that when it comes down to, you know, production-wise, like, at least for me, like, I have to take responsibility being a leader on this team and stuff like that. I mean, I need to be able to produce more. As an offense, we need to produce more. It's not good only getting 2 goals on the weekend. I think Coach Marty also showed us, like, the away team, the team that we're playing, their goalies' save percentage and their goals against average, and it's not where it needs to be, especially in this league. And when you're going up against a team that played, like, systematically just a lot better than us and wanted it more than us, it hurt us that weekend, and I think we really need to bounce back from that.
Tell us about your adjustment on the lines. We saw you open the year playing with Josh Gogren, that transfer from Purdue Northwest Division I team, and then Brendan Schultz, a Division II player from the men's team. Then you switched over and playing with Andrew Porzondik that previous game in the 1-0 loss. How much more acclimated was it playing with Porzondik? And obviously not the result you wanted, but was it fun again playing with a guy that you had so much success with a year ago?
Yeah, definitely. I think just kind of going back to that same lineup and then being in that second game, I feel like kind of generated a little more offense, you know, knowing where Porzo is most of the time and kind of knowing how he is as a player, it helps with that chemistry for sure. Playing with Josh and Schultz there, they were really good players right from the start. I mean, going into practice with them, going through drills, like, they know how to move the puck, they know how to play well, and I think when it comes to, like, going from practice to games, being able to adjust on the fly too, especially with teams that you're playing, can be, I don't want to say a challenge, but almost like something that you want to keep working on with those guys, and it's something that early in the season we're just trying to work those out, and obviously this needs to get worked out now. So I think we're trying to move some things back around. That's why I ended up back with Porzo there and Schultz, and you know, I think we generated a little more. Obviously, we just need to produce more. That's what it comes down to.
So you guys have talked about those line adjustments, and one of the notable ones was moving Owen Campbell and Isaac Gibbs up to that top line in that second Michigan State game. Isaac Gibbs has played some really good hockey to start this year. He got the only goal in that series against Michigan State. Tell me a little bit more about him and how he has led the team this season.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Gibby's having a great season. He's always been a player that's been able to produce for us whenever we need him to, and this year's no exception to that. I mean, he's had a great season with Owen Campbell. Those guys just find each other, and it's crazy. It's fun to watch in games, and honestly, it's nice to see that we have guys like that producing. As I said, like, as a team, as a whole, we need to produce more just based off of our previous results, and, like, we're just not scoring enough goals right now, so this is something we need to build on, and, you know, Gibby and OC, they deserve to be up there. They're putting up points, and at the end of the day, if you're going to produce, you deserve that recognition and being up there. So,
yeah, indeed. And looking ahead on the schedule for you guys have Lawrence Tech this week, Saginaw Valley State in 3 weeks, followed up by Michigan Flint in the first weekend of November. Those are some teams that have given you some tough play in the past couple of seasons. Who do you think's going to be the biggest challenge for you guys?
Well, I think they're both really good teams. They provide 2 completely different styles almost as well. Lawrence Tech, big physical team. We've had, you know, issues with them last year, and we need to turn that around. Same with Notre Dame almost. And then Saginaw Valley, always an electric place to play, and always a good series against those guys. I think we took them to OT last year and had another game at their place that we should have had. So we have some revenge games coming up, I guess you could say.
Yeah, indeed. A couple of revenge games. Devin, any thoughts on those upcoming series?
I don't know about you. This just sounds like the Detroit Lions here, where they've got that biting kneecaps revenge tour. That's like you guys coming out here. But my only question for you is, you know, we talked about Lions, we talked about production. What are you guys going to be preparing for when you see a Lawrence Tech team that's really depth heavy? You know, last year we had trouble with players going down, sometimes playing with 3 forward lines. Is that series really going to come down to who has more legs under them at the end, or what do you think is the important factor in that series?
Well, I think last year for sure that was a thing, but I mean this year I think that we have depth now too. So it's like if they're going to have it like they did all of last year, they're going to have it this year. We have that depth this year. So I'm really excited to see what happens. We're not going to be playing short. We have no excuses to not have just our best weekend this weekend against these guys. So.
That's great stuff. And hey, do you want to tell the folks about your great playlist you have before games?
Yeah, so I actually have a little remix that two hockey buddies of mine actually came up with. It's the Jacked Factory Basement Mix. Gets me going before games for sure.
It's a SoundCloud thing, right?
It's a SoundCloud thing. If you want to go check it out, Henry Graham, shout out to him. Bobby Burns. One of them was my vet in juniors. Another one I played with. I think he's at Boston University now. So just shows, hockey players doing good things, being in the right places, I guess. So.
Hey, that's a great song. I hope we're hearing Ski Yeet in the record afterwards.
Better
if you don't know,
win.
you know now. Look it up.
Indeed. Well, hopefully you'll hear that song in the locker room coming up in the next 3 series. You can find all 3 of those series here on CCHN. We'll step aside. When we come back, we'll have Deklynn, Woitas, and Derek Steele here on Inside Chippewa Hockey.
Chippewa Hockey is on CCHN.
Oh my goodness!
The place to watch men's Division III.
Here's Connor Morgan out in front for Porzundek. He scores!
And women's Division II.
Burnett's gonna get a shot and goal, and she scores!
Every shift, every goal, every game.
Central Michigan has turned the corner.
All in one place. CCHN, your home for Chippewa hockey.
Welcome back to the season premiere of Inside Chippewa Hockey. Once again, I'm Regan Cleves, and for this segment, I'm joined by Derek Steele and sophomore Deklynn Woitas. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Doing well.
I'm doing good. Thanks, Regan.
Yeah, it's good to have you guys on. A good start for the women's team this season, 3-1. They got a sweep over Northern Michigan before they got the series split with Michigan State. What I want to start the show off with both of you today is how well that your team turned around from that Michigan State loss on Friday before coming back and absolutely annihilating them 7-1 on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, really, what impressed me the most, Regan, is special teams for Central Michigan. You were, I believe it was 0 for 2 on the power play Friday night. They were 3 for 3 on the power play. They were 2 for 3 on the penalty kill. So a big improvement from Friday night, and I think that's a big reason why they were able to have the success against Michigan State that they did is half of their goals, or just under half of their goals, were scored on the power play, which is, like I said, a big improvement.
Yeah, with that turnaround, Deklynn, what was your guys' mentality going into Game 2?
We really just wanted to win. I feel like Friday's game was just a little bit chaotic for us. We just didn't really feel like we played as much of a team we really wanted to be. And we kind of went out there and we started off really strong. And like after each intermission, we kind of pumped each other up and we kind of, I guess, told each other not let off the gas, like, because we kept scoring goals and we were like, hey, this is going good. Like, we need to keep doing this and, pressure them to cough up the puck. And they just kept getting frustrated and we were winning puck races and puck battles. And we were just really playing as a team, and I think that was really helping us.
One big thing I have noted, Deklynn, is Kylie's goal 45 seconds into the game that gave you the 1-0 lead. How much momentum and how much of that confidence boost do you think it was to see a puck go into the back of the net less than a minute into the game?
Oh, I feel like that really just boosted our spirits going into the game. It kind of just happened so quickly, and we were like, oh, this is us again, we're gonna do this, and everyone got excited, and then we just started playing like the women's hockey team again, so.
Yeah, and that's a big win for you guys. Only your third over Michigan State in your entire history, right, Derek?
Third or fourth win, yeah. There was one back in 18 and 19, I think, but third and fourth win. So,
yeah, how do you expect your team to take that momentum into the next couple of series?
I think it starts with our practices during the week. We need to practice hard. We're going to practice how we play, so we got to keep the intensity in practices and then the positivity. We have to be really positive going into everything. Again, winning all those races to the puck and just playing as a team, making those passes that really matter. And yeah.
Yeah, so talking about those upcoming series, Miami University in 2 weeks, and then you've got Notre Dame and Sauk all coming up. What do you expect out of those series?
Well, Regan, I think they're going to be really good games. Miami University is a team that I think Central Michigan, and I know, Deklynn, you can attest to this a little bit more than I can, I feel like it's a team that was kind of slept on a little bit by Central Michigan. And something that was really good about Miami is they were very opportunistic. They took advantage of a lot of the mistakes Central Michigan made, especially in that final game at Martin. So I think that's going to be a really good series. And then the third one you mentioned, Sioux College, they're the defending national champions for Women's Division II. Now, granted, they did lose a lot of firepower from their team last season, but they still got players like Emma Lee, like Marie-Pierre Lacours. They got really good goaltending. So I'm expecting 2 really close games and really hard-fought games in that series against Sioux College.
Now, what about Notre Dame? You guys have that series in 3 weeks' time, I believe. It's a team you guys swept last year at Compton Family Ice Arena. What are you expecting going into that series?
I'm expecting a lot of the same, honestly. Notre Dame is going to be a younger team. They're only returning 10 players from last season, and it's their second series of this season. They have one series before this. It was against Adrian this previous weekend. So there's 2 questions that arise in my brain. Are they going to be well rested and ready to attack on the ice and be the more aggressive team, or are they going to be rusty? Are they going to still be trying to knock that rust off, something we saw from Northern Michigan the first series of the weekend for Central Michigan against the Wildcats? So that Notre Dame series, I think that it could be a sweep for them at Martin, but I could also see Notre Dame coming out and being the more aggressive team and sneaking one against the Chippewas.
Yeah, Derek, you talk about shaking that rust off, and 2 players that really haven't had to shake any rust off this season, Lauren Abraham and Bree Schroer, your 2 netminders. They have very good starts to their seasons this year. How does that impact your mindset as a defenseman?
Oh, it is a big impact. I mean, I always trust my goalies. Like, it helps when goaltending is good because, I trust my goalies a lot, and it helps when you trust your goalies.
And Derek, it's really easy to trust your goaltenders when they're playing really well, isn't it?
Yeah, Reagan, the first stat that pops off the sheet to me is their save percentage. Both goalies have over a 900 save percentage. Schroer sitting at a 909, Abraham sitting at a 958. The stats for Michigan State have not come out, so her save percentage is going to be a little bit lower. But when you have 2 goalies over 900 save percentage, it's really easy to trust your goalies. Also, their goals allowed on average, their GAA, is both at a 2.5, which is remarkable. So there's no wonder why players like Deklynn and other defensemen such as Mac, Leah, the new players, and Gabby Lepore, Tate Hutchinson really trust the netminders. But there's one we cannot forget here, Zoe Lawrence. I'm really excited to see her get a chance later in the season. And talking to Coach Haney this weekend, he talked about wanting to get Lawrence a chance and wanting to start getting her ice time. And he said that she's really started to impress in practices. So I'm really excited to see the freshman get a chance.
So I know we've already talked about the immediate vicinity for this team, but looking ahead, you guys have some big tests later on this season.
Yeah, one big test that really pops off on the page for me is Adrian. Adrian College, they're another team that made the CCWHA tournament, and they're a team that made the national tournament as well. So the Bulldogs look to take that top seed or that top spot amongst the CCWHA. So does Central Michigan.
And Deklynn, bringing you back into the conversation here, you guys have some fairly good teams upcoming on the schedule. You got Miami and Notre Dame and Sioux. What are your thoughts on those upcoming series?
I think they're going to be hard battles, especially since we really underestimated Miami last year. They're a big team. They're rough. They kind of took it to us, one of those games. So we got to play rough, but...
Yeah, Deklynn, and in 4 weeks' time, you guys have the defending national champions in Sioux College. You guys took them to overtime last year, one of the closest games they've played. What's your guys' mentality going up against the Cougars?
I'm very excited to play against them. They were a really fun team. They were fast. They were big. I think that we could take them into overtime again or possibly even win. Our team has really rebuilt even from last year. I think we can really give it to them this time.
Well, thank you, Deklynn, and thank you, Derek. And make sure to stay tuned after the break where we break down the final CMU club hockey team, the men's Division II team. We'll be right back on ICH.
Chippewa Hockey is on CCHN,
Oh my goodness!
the place to watch men's Division III
Here's Connor Morgan out in front for Porzundek. He scores!
and women's Division II.
Burnett's gonna get a shot and goal, and she scores!
Every shift, every goal, every game,
Central Michigan has turned the corner.
all in one place. CCHN, your home for Chippewa hockey.
Welcome back to Inside Chippewa Hockey. Our final team here tonight that we are breaking down is men's Division II. With that, let's welcome on John Gervasi and Dylan Neirmeyer. How are both of you guys doing today?
Good.
Good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. So, at the start of the season, the big thing was your new coach. Doug Wickstrom comes on for his first season at the helm of your team. How has he been this season? How has he done for you guys?
He's been like a fantastic players coach to us. He's like really personal with the guys. Tries to keep the practices fun, even though they're like pretty early in the morning. He's introduced some systems for us that are a little different, especially with our numbers this year. We're changing up a few things just to help out with stamina. But yeah, he's been a great addition to the team.
Yeah, and you guys, you mentioned the numbers issue. You guys lost a lot of players over the off season, and your first game was a tough test against Michigan at Yost. It was a 16-1 loss, but it was a good experience for you guys nonetheless.
Oh, absolutely. I think the biggest taker from that was just getting to know each other. With a lot of fresh guys on the team, some kids who had taken a slight break from hockey, them getting their feet back underneath them. We're really just starting to start building that chemistry with each other and just getting to know one another.
Yeah, and talking about the new additions, John, how have you seen them from your position in the broadcast booth? How have you seen them develop and impact the team this season?
Well, for one, I'll tell you, the second game against Roosevelt, I think we really saw the freshmen grow into their own in those two games. We talked about, Teddy Campbell getting a lot better, skating a lot better. Gabe Franzum, guys like him, Max Gorman. Gabe Benford has been a huge addition to us. And then guys like Brendan Bejes, gone for 2 years, comes into the Oakland game and puts 2 pucks in the net. So I think the chemistry is getting a lot better in terms of what we have right now.
Yeah, and you mentioned that Oakland series, 7-2 loss on the road, and you guys came back and held with them in game 2, only lost 6-5.
Yeah, I think that was due to having more guys that weekend. There were some of our players weren't able to make it to that first game, so being on the road, a little bit of bus legs, had kind of a slow start, but definitely going into that second Oakland game, we were able to keep it a lot tighter.
Yeah, and then in that Concordia and Arbor series, you guys ended up losing 14-1 and 7-1, but still some good takeaways from that series, especially with how you guys stuck with them at home.
Mm-hmm.
It's, for us, it's a battle every game. I mean, we've talked about split roster. The boys are putting up fights in every single game. Eventually, the other team's depth comes up, and that kind of ends games for us, but I think our motto for the year is survive and advance. I talk about it on the broadcast. Anytime a player goes down for us on the road when we have a small roster, I kind of cringe a little bit, because if someone goes down, like Saturday we had 9 guys and Jackson Molesky took a shot in the boards and he was down for a second. We go down to 8 guys and it's really tough. But the boys are fighting, and it's just about surviving the year.
Mm-hmm. And kind of to add to that, with our systems that we were talking about, playing zone for us is a big deal, even though it might not be the most effective way in some circumstances. Kind of learning, especially in that, in those games, is just figuring out those systems and learning how to, that chemistry to put all the pieces together.
Yeah, and you guys are still in search of your first win, but looking ahead on this schedule, you guys have a big trip up north. You guys play Sioux College and Lake Superior State. What's your guys' What's your guys' goal coming into that series?
The biggest thing for us, like I said, is systems. Like those are going to be our best friend. Trying to keep our stamina up while putting our opponents in like tricky situations. But our biggest thing for this upcoming weekend, or in this upcoming series, is definitely like trying to work together to put some points on the board and make some happen.
I think from my perspective, LSSU's, they're a very good squad, and so is Sioux College. And I think personally for me, going on road trips, again, it's keeping the roster intact, not having any injuries, but just building. The more we build the chemistry, I think the better this season will go on. So, I think
And despite the many downsides to the start of the season, you guys have had some really good moments. John, how would you tell us about the highlights that you got for us here today?
So the first highlight, we're down, I think it was like 7-0 or 8-0, and Frankie Williamson picks up a puck in the defensive zone. I think it was on a missed pass, and he was not going to be denied the goal. He skated right into the offensive zone, went 5-0. Pretty sure he put an elbow into the defender's chest. And I asked him after the game, I said, "You wanted that goal?" He said, "Yeah, I wasn't going to be denied with that goal. I saw 5-hole open, and I just went for it." Second highlight, Bejas we talked about. He hasn't played in 2 years. I think it was his first game against Oakland, or he played at Oakland. But his first goal, he gets into the offensive zone, lost the puck, and the puck, like a magnet, found a stick again, and he put it home for a 1-0 lead against Oakland. Third one, Teddy Campbell, we talked about, freshman, got a lot better. He gets an interception in the defensive zone on a missed pass, and he loses the puck at the blue line and still truck sticks a Laker player. He absolutely ran him over. So that's a good highlight, and like I said, for a freshman, it's good to see them growing. Will Clark, one of the juniors on the team, last year really known for his physical play, I would think. Unfortunately, he was out after the second game with a shoulder injury. He's really picked up the offense this year, and he moved one step over the blue line and wrist shot right over the glove side of Oakland's goalie. And then Riley Joyce, you want to talk about kids who have impressed this year? Freshman last year, tore his ACL on the West Virginia road trip, hadn't scored a goal yet. I think that's his first game since coming back from injury. Gets his first ACHA goal. I mean, you can't write it any better, and you can't feel any more happy for the kid. So seeing him come back, seeing a lot of guys come back, it's been a fun season so far.
Yeah,
despite the scores.
Yeah, indeed. And Dylan, what's been your favorite part of the season so far?
I think for us, like especially that Oakland game, to where guys were scoring. There were a lot of firsts that game. There were actually quite a few pucks to hand out to some kids at the end of the game. Road trips, I think they've been definitely a lot more eventful this year, is like off the ice. But yeah, it's definitely been interesting and fun, like building with like a new group of guys.
Well, thank you guys both for your insight here. We're going to take a break one final time, but when we come back, we'll have our brand new segment as we close out our first episode of Inside Chippewa Hockey.
Chippewa Hockey is on CCHN.
Oh my goodness!
The place to watch men's Division III.
Here's Connor Morgan out and Porzundicki scores!
And women's Division II.
Burnett's gonna get a shot and goal, and she scores!
Every shift, every goal, every game.
Central Michigan has turned the corner.
All in one place. CCHN, your home for Chippewa hockey.
Welcome back to Inside Chippewa Hockey. I'm joined again by Derek, Devin, and John. Welcome back, guys. And we're here for a brand new segment called Players of the Month. We'll start here with Derek. Your Player of the Month this month for Women's Division II is Gabriella Nixon. How would you tell us a little bit more about her?
Well, Regan, she came onto the scene last year firing on all cylinders. She was top 5 in scoring, and she was top 5 in every major category offensively for Central Michigan. She went up that with 2 goals on opening night against Northern Michigan, and then she had another goal the second night against Northern Michigan. She's leading the team right now with 7 points. She's also 3rd in the CCWHA for points.
And Devin, moving on to the men's Division III team, you had Isaac Gibbs.
Yeah, it has to be unanimous, right? 4 goals and assists, 4 in his first 5 games, and that's really remarkable for a guy that was the leading scorer his freshman year. Last year, top 3 in scoring, would have had more goals, only 14 on the year and 21 games played because of that injury at Saginaw Valley State. And this year, he's clicked on all cylinders. You know, him and Owen Campbell had 6 of the 8 points in that opening weekend series against Ferris State, and you know, he was really much of the Chippewas' forecheck. I mean, when he's on the ice, good things keep happening. They're able to cycle the puck, especially out of transition, and get up the ice quick. He's a dynamic puck carrier now. That's something he's really developed in his game as he's played on this team for more years and become an upperclassman. And, of course, he's got a wicked shot. They're going to need him on the ice, especially down this 3-weekend stretch where the ranking period is starting to come up, and they're going to need him to not just light it up, but he's going to need to make people on his line better with him.
Yeah, now that he's on that top line with Owen Campbell, hopefully that Chippewa production will increase a little bit. John, you picked Will Clark as your player of the month for men's Division II.
Yeah, we talked about it in our D2 segment. I mean, he has all the skill in the world to be an offensive player. I gave him the nickname last year, Freight Train, because when he hits someone, he just destroys them. And he got hurt last year, which was a big hurt. It hurt our team a lot. This year, he's been putting work in on the offensive, in the offensive zone. He's still running people over, and we have now decided that if you try to hit Will Clark, you're probably going to be the one that falls down because he's built like a tree. But we talked about it. His goal against Oakland gave us a 1-0 lead. He scored against Roosevelt, and he's a junior this year, and he's an alternate captain. He got the A this year. And he's really been putting in a work on the leadership side, too. He's always getting guys ready to go. He's always pumping up teammates, and it's great to see for such a young team.
Yeah, and those are your players of the month, rather. Gabriella Nixon for Women's Division II, Will Clark for Men's Division II, and for Men's Division III, Isaac Gibbs. Taking a look now ahead on the schedule, gentlemen. The Men's Division II has a up north road trip coming up. You take on Sioux and Lake Superior State in a 3-game set, and then you got Davenport and Milwaukee coming up. What's your biggest, what series rather, are you looking forward to?
The boys are really looking for the Milwaukee series. They're both at home, where we have a full roster, and we think Milwaukee's kind of in the same boat as us, kind of building a team. So we think if we can get them at home with a full roster, we think that we can get our first 2 wins of the season. The LSSU game, those are going to be real tough. We played them last year with a full roster. Their D2 team is fast. They have a lot of skill guys, and the same with Sioux College. So the next weekend series is going to be tough, but they're ready to play. They're ready to fight in every game.
Yeah, and as for Men's Division III, Devin, a big couple of series coming up. They've got Lawrence Tech and Saginaw Valley State opening their MCHC East play, and then they follow that up with University of Michigan Flint.
Yeah, it can't be overstated how important this series is. Remember, Lawrence Tech last year won big over CMU, 8-1 in their first game, 6-3 back in Martin Ice Arena. This is kind of what Lathan Bottles was talking about in a revenge game. This is the game that you need to have because in order to make Nationals, one, but also be in contention for the MCHC East, you have to go through a Lawrence Tech team that's finished top 3 in that place the last couple of years. Now, CMU's done good against them in the tournament, the MCHC tournament, but they just haven't been able to beat them in the regular season. They're a fast team. They really suffocate you on the special team, so not taking too many penalties as they, let's be honest, have been the last couple weeks. You can't allow it, and then the 5-on-5's got to be superb against them. I'm looking at guys like Connor Juhas, who was the leading scorer last year. George French, who's one of their top defensemen this year as a sophomore, doing really critical stuff on their blue line. And then Luke Ratto has come into his own as an upperclassman. So for this Lawrence Tech series, if you can split against them, that does so much for your ranking enough. But for a team that's coming off this sweep against Michigan State, it's even more important. And then briefly on Saginaw Valley, they're going to have to look at some of those top guys like O'Flanagan and shut them down, right? We know last year things got a little bit chippy at the end of those games, so they're going to have to keep the tempers under wraps. And then finally, U of M Flint to wrap up this kind of 3-game stretch, you're going to call it. And they've had a lot of success against Flint. Let's not be wrong there. But Michael Chapman's always dangerous. Brendan Miles is one of their best forward. It's going to be a good stretch of games for them, but it starts with Lawrence Tech and pretty much a must-win in one of those games.
Yeah, some big upcoming games for the men's Division III team. And Derek, to finish it out, what's ahead on the schedule for W2?
Yeah, first Miami University. We talked, Reagan, during the Women's 2 segment, how we split against them last year. And I remember seeing the players walk out while we were doing our post-game show. And I remember one player in particular, Emily Castilny, just the anger on her face and the tenacity that this team has. So I'm really excited for that one. Notre Dame, let's face it, Notre Dame's a team that's really struggled in recent years. We mentioned the 10 new players for them. So I'm really looking for Central Michigan to take it to them and just continue pitting on the gas, going 110%, like what we saw them do against Michigan State this weekend. And then Sioux College, this is the series that I have circled on my calendar for the whole season. I'm really excited to see what this team can do going up into Canada, going across the border, and playing the defending national champions.
Yeah, all of those games will be available to watch in the upcoming month. All the M2 games on Black Dog Hockey, while the M3 and W2 games will be right here on CCHN. That does it for episode 1 of Inside Chippewa Hockey. Make sure to stay tuned to CCHN for upcoming games and our next episode coming out in November. Until then, I'm Regan Cleves for everybody else here at CCHN saying thanks so much for watching. Have a great night, everybody.